Think about it. Every single song you've ever loved, every track that's kind of soundtracked a moment in your life, well, it has a financial story attached to it.
It really does.
And when you're talking about a songwriting powerhouse like Sting Gordon, Matthew Thomas Sumner,
Hmm.
I mean, his music, both with the Police and solo, it's been everywhere for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And that financial story gets incredibly rich. The common thread through it all, his amazing knack for writing songs that just stick.
Exactly. So today we're going to dive deep with you into this really fascinating world of music royalties, specifically looking at Sting's huge catalog.
Right.
We're going to try and unpack how his songs, from those early Police hits right through his solo stuff, even the songs he wrote for other people, how they keep generating income, all these different ways.
Okay, so for those of us maybe not totally up on the music biz lingo, let's break down the basics. A song gets used, it makes money, royalties.
Right. The main types.
Yeah, we're basically looking at four key types. First, mechanical royalties. Think of these like a payment for every copy, physical, digital, whatever.
Gotcha. Like sales.
Kinda. Then performance royalties. That's when a song is played publicly. Radio, concerts, streaming even counts here now.
Okay. Public performance.
Synchronization royalties or sync. That's when a song gets used with visuals. Movies, TV shows, ads.
The sync license.
Yeah.
Very important.
And finally, print royalties. Less common for pop hits these days, maybe, but, sheet music, songbooks.
Sure. Still a factor.
The big takeaway for you is every Sting song, it's intellectual property. And each time it's used in these ways, someone's getting paid.
And what's really amazing about Sting's career is how it just perfectly shows how you create this long-lasting financial asset just through songwriting.
Yeah.
And it's all kind of culminated in this huge event.
Yeah.
February 2022, he sold his entire song catalog, solo, and Police stuff to Universal Music Publishing Group, UMPG.
For a reported $300 million?
$300 million? Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that just puts it all in perspective, doesn't it? That sale, for me, it just highlights the incredible value built up over decades of, brilliant songwriting.
It really does.
Makes you think about the long game in music, right? The financial power of a truly great songbook. And that sale, it's going to be sort of a theme today as we look at where all this money came from originally.
Precisely. And to really get the full picture, you need to grasp the basics of music copyright.
Yeah.
Generally, a song has two main copyrights.
Okay.
There's the composition, the melody, lyrics, the actual song structure.
Mm-hmm.
That belongs to the songwriter and their publisher.
Right, the writing part.
And then there's the sound recording of the specific version you hear, like the Police's recording of Roxanne, that's often owned by the record label, and the artist gets a cut.
Okay, two separate things.
Yeah. And in Sting's case, his real strength, and what we're focusing on, is his massive ownership of those songwriting copyrights, the composition.
Got it. So let's rewind back to the late 70s, the Police form.
Mm-hmm.
1977. Such a unique band, right? And Sting's right there in the middle, voice, bass, but crucially for our story, the main songwriter.
Offensive songwriter, yeah.
Their sound was so fresh, kind of punk energy, but with reggae and jazz bits. They just exploded globally. Those early hits, that period, that's where this whole royalty journey really kicks off.
And if you connect that to the royalties, their huge success wasn't just about selling records or filling arenas, though they did plenty of that.
Oh, yeah.
It laid the groundwork for decades of mechanical and performance royalties.
Yeah.
Their chart peaks might have varied a bit, UK versus US.
Right, like Roxanne maybe hit higher in the UK initially.
Exactly. Or Message in a Bottle.
Mm-hmm.
But the sheer volume of sales and the constant airplay everywhere, astronomical.
And every spin, every album sold.
Judging. Performance and mechanical royalties flowing in.
Absolutely. When you think about those classic Police tracks, it's Sting's songwriting, isn't it? Those melodies you just can't forget, the lyrics that were often smarter than you realize.
Yeah, clever stuff.
And how it all just clicked with the bands playing. That was the magic, right? That created the intellectual property, those super valuable copyrights we're talking about.
Definitely. The band's sound was instantly them, and a huge part of that was Sting's writing style.
But it wasn't always smooth sailing, was it? Creative tensions.
Oh, definitely not. Think about making Synchronicity, their biggest album. There were well-known tensions. Stuart Copeland famously said, "Every Breath You Take" was Sting's best song with the worst arrangement.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. Shows you the friction.
It does. But here's the thing. Synchronicity went, 8 times platinum in the U.S.? Huge seller.
Massive.
And Every Breath You Take. As of May 2019, BMI called it the most performed song in U.S. radio history, ever.
Wow. So that internal disagreement, the creative push and pull, it didn't hurt the song at all.
Not commercially, no. It became this absolute monster hit, dominated the airwaves. Still does, really.
Just goes to show sometimes that creative friction, maybe it even adds something, that kind of creepy vibe in the song.
Could be. What's fascinating is the core of the song melody. Lyrics was just so strong, so universal, it just cut through everything else.
Yeah.
And that's what's fueled those massive performance royalties for decades.
So let's quickly tick off some of those key Police tracks, the big royalty earners. We're talking Roxanne, obviously. Grammy Hall of Fame.
Classic. And those UK number ones, Message in a Bottle, Walking on the Moon.
Don't Stand So Close to Me won a Grammy too.
Right. And every little thing she does is magic. Another UK number one.
And the big one, Every Breath You Take. Grammy winner, BMI's most played.
The juggernaut. It's worth mentioning there were occasional co-writes, like the instrumental Regatta de Blanc or Murder by Numbers with Andy Summers.
Yeah, but mostly.
But yeah, the vast majority of those massive hits, penned solely by Sting, he was the architect of that incredibly valuable songbook.
Okay, so the Police, huge launchpad. But Sting, he didn't just stay there. 1984, peak fame, he goes solo.
A bold move. Driven by instinct, he said.
And he didn't just survive, he thrived. He expanded his whole musical world, and his royalty catalog grew massively with this new solo identity.
Exactly. That first solo album, The Dream of the Blue Turtles in '85, it was a statement.
Total different sound.
Yeah, he brought in these amazing jazz musicians, created this really sophisticated kind of jazz-infused pop rock. Critics loved it, Grammy noms.
And it sold triple platinum US, double platinum UK.
Right. It proved his songwriting wasn't just a Police thing. He had his own voice, commercially viable on his own terms.
And it wasn't a one-off. He kept putting out successful albums. What strikes me is how he wasn't afraid to explore jazz, classical bits, world music, adult contemporary.
He never stood still musically.
And the lyrics got more personal, didn't they? More introspective.
Definitely.
That constant evolution, I think that's key to why he stayed relevant and why his royalty streams are so varied.
Yeah, exploring those different styles and themes, it just broadened his appeal. He had different audiences, different radio formats, more royalties from more places. And we have to talk collaborations. Working with Ched Mommy on Desert Rose.
Iconic.
Eric Clapton on It's Probably Me. Mary J. Blige on Whatever I Say Your Name. Even Shaggy on 44876.
That was unexpected, but it worked.
It won a Grammy. Each collab brought his music to new ears, different fan bases. Undoubtedly boosted the overall income.
Yeah, those collabs are interesting, bridging musical worlds. And he was smart about managing his back catalog, too, wasn't he?
Very strategic.
Like the remix of Englishman in New York, bigger hit than the original in some places.
Right.
Or that My Songs album, re-recording classics. It's like refreshing the brand, getting new master recording royalties.
Exactly. Proactive catalog management. Keeps the songs alive, relevant for new listeners, generates new master royalties, and potentially boosts interest in the originals. More performance royalties.
Smart. So another quick rundown for you listening. Key solo tracks driving royalties, early hits like If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free.
U.S. top 3.
The Enduring Englishman in New York, original and remix, and timeless ones like Fragile and Fields of Gold, which, amazingly, is his most streamed solo song on Spotify now.
Isn't that something? Shows the digital afterlife of these songs. Fields of Gold, UK Gold, single, wedding staple, massive streaming. Yeah. It just keeps connecting.
And Desert Rose, we have to mention the Jaguar ads again. That sync deal was huge for its success.
Oh yeah, perfect example of sync power. Boosted the song, the album.
Totally propelled it. And then, If I Ever Lose My Faith in You, Grammy winner, most played U.S. radio record in '93. Think of those performance royalties.
Astronomical for that year.
And later winners, Whenever I Say Your Name, with Mary J., the reggae Grammy with Shaggy. It just shows the breadth, artistically and financially.
It really does. This list just proves his solo career wasn't some afterthought. It was a massive, successful new chapter, generating a whole new catalog of valuable songs.
Okay, let's zoom in even more on a few of these solo monsters. Fields of Gold, inspired by his home in Wiltshire, right?
That's the story, yeah. The barley fields.
Solid chart success. 10 Summoner's Tales album went multi-platinum. But the song's afterlife is really interesting.
It really is. UK Gold single, sure, but then Eva Cassidy's cover.
Oh, heartbreakingly beautiful.
And hugely popular, even posthumously. It brought the song to a whole different audience. And now, top streaming track on Spotify for him solo, uses on TV shows like The Voice.
It just keeps going. New royalties, new listeners.
Exactly. It's got its own life.
Then Englishman in New York.
Yeah.
Inspired by Quentin Crisp. Moderate hit initially.
Yeah, UK 51, US 84, something like that.
But that 1990 remix, UK Top 15 BPI Gold single, it became this anthem of individuality.
And its reach extends further, right? The Black Eyed Peas sampled it for Union, and Sting was on the track.
Yeah, so you get royalties from the original, the remix, and the sample feature. Connects it to a whole new generation.
Smart move. Keeps the song current.
And Fragile. Written about Ben Linder's death. Maybe not a huge chart hit.
UK 70, I think.
But its meaning just seems to deepen over time with world events. And it pops up like you hear a cover version in that Netflix show, Adolescence.
Right, that's a recent sync. New synced fees, performance royalties from the show.
And Sting played that distinctive guitar part on the original himself. Adds another layer.
That's the power of a song with real emotional weight. It keeps finding relevance, finding audiences, keeps generating income.
Then Desert Rose.
Yeah.
Co-written with Cheb Mimi, that reggae influence.
Beautiful blend.
Well, UK 15, US 17, but the Jaguar campaign was the game changer.
Oh, absolutely. That ad was everywhere.
Massive investment from Jaguar, like $18.5 million, they said. And the song was central. Huge boost in radio play, sales. Perfect sync example.
Textbook case study in sync success.
I remember reading he was a bit hesitant at first. The car thing, environmentalism.
Yeah, there was some talk about that. And apparently the record company initially wanted to cut the Arabic intro.
No way. That's like the hook.
Right. Thankfully, he stuck to his guns. Sometimes those unique bits are what make it a hit. And very profitable.
You bet. And briefly, let's not forget others like, if you love somebody, I set them free all this time, 7 days. If I ever lose my faith in you, when we dance. They all had success. All contribute to that stream.
Exactly. Each one adds another layer, another piece to that big financial puzzle. Consistent quality, consistent appeal.
Okay, so we've covered Sting performing his own amazing songs, but there's another whole angle here, really lucrative too. Sting writing songs for other artists.
Yeah, this is a distinct income stream and a really valuable one. Shows the power of that composition copyright.
How does that work exactly?
Well, when Sting writes a song and, say, another artist records it, Sting earns songwriter royalties from their version, their sales, streams, radio play, any sync uses of their recording.
Separate from his own versions, if you did one?
Totally separate. It's purely for the use of his composition.
Okay, example time. Dire Straits, Money for Nothing, huge one. That I Want My MTV line in the background.
That's Sting.
Yep, his vocal melody and lyrics there. He co-wrote it with Mark Knopfler. So he gets a cut of the publishing royalties from that massive, massive hit. Sales, streams, airplay, sync, ongoing income.
A prime example of collaboration paying off, big time, long term. Then there's Demolition Man. Sting wrote that one entirely himself.
Okay.
Grace Jones recorded it first in 1981.
Ah, I didn't know that?
Yep. Then the Police recorded their version later the same year for Ghost in the Machine.
So Sting gets songwriter royalties from both recordings.
Exactly, from Grace Jones' version and the Police's version.
Yeah.
Double dip on the same composition.
Nice work if you can get it.
Right. And it happened again with I Burn For You. He wrote it. Hot Gossip recorded it first.
The dance group.
Yeah. Then the Police did it for the Brimstone and Trickle soundtrack. Again, royalties from both versions.
Smart. Leverage that asset.
And soundtracks themselves are huge. For Disney's The Emperor's New Groove, he co-wrote Perfect World for Tom Jones.
Great track.
And wrote and sang the Oscar-nominated My Funny Friend and Me.
Oscar nomination that boosts things, right?
Oh yeah, raises the profile hugely. More licensing potential. Then for Cold Mountain, he wrote, You Will Be My Ain True Love. Alison Krauss sang it, Sting on backing vocals.
Another Oscar nomination.
Yep, beautiful song. And don't forget, It's Probably Me from Lethal Weapon 3 with Eric Clapton.
Another big soundtrack hit.
And all the stuff on the Brimstone and Treacle soundtrack album itself.
Right, so the sync fee for the movie is just the start.
Exactly. Then soundtrack sales, streaming, any later uses, it all adds up. Even smaller things, like co-writing Adventures in Success for Will Powers.
Ooh.
Bit obscure, but it counts. Or performer royalties for backing vocals on Arcadia's The Promise, or singing on All for Love with Bryan Adams and Rod Stewart. It all contributes.
And it's interesting how sometimes, like with Demolition Man, he or the Police would record songs later that he'd initially given away.
Yeah, that reverse flow. Maybe he saw a different angle, or just liked the song enough to do his own take. Creates another royalty stream, of course. Speaks to the strength of the original song.
We put together one last overview for you. highlighting some of those key songs Sting wrote mainly for others or projects. Shows the range.
It really does. Different artists, different genres, film scores, underlines how his songwriting talent went way beyond just his own albums, a really diverse portfolio.
Okay, now let's get into this ripple effect. How his songs keep making money in ways maybe not obvious at first. Samples, covers, sync licenses. This is where a great song really multiplies its value.
Yeah, this ripple effect is crucial for the long-term financial life. Shows how a composition can keep earning and finding new audiences through other artists' work.
Samples first. The big one, gotta be Puff Daddy's I'll Be Missing You, using Every Breath You Take.
The most famous example, probably.
And that was controversial, right? They didn't clear the sample first.
That's right. Big legal issue. Sting sued and reportedly got awarded 100% of the publishing royalties.
Wow, 100%.
Yeah, significant earnings. Sting joked it paid for a couple of his kids' college educations.
Ugh.
What's interesting is Andy Summers' iconic guitar riff is the sample, but the songwriting credit belonged only to Sting, so he got the publishing money.
Shows how vital that songwriting credit is, and the importance of clearing samples.
Absolutely. But beyond that one, his catalog's been a goldmine for samplers. Shape of My Heart especially.
Oh, yeah.
Massively sampled and interpolated, most famously in Juice WRLD's huge hit, Lucid Dreams.
Ah, right. That melody's pure Shape of My Heart. Must have meant huge publishing royalties.
Absolutely. Global hit, introduced that melody to millions, but also Nas used it on The Message, Tory Lanez on Pieces, Craig David even interpolated it on Rise and Fall, and Sting featured on that track too.
So he gets writer and performer royalties there.
Exactly. WhoSampled.com lists over 150 uses of just Shape of My Heart.
Whoa. That's incredible. It's like its own subgenre.
Kinda is, and it's not just that one. Roxanne, Englishman in New York, every little thing she does is magic. Fragile, Message in a Bottle, Fields of Gold, all sampled over the years.
It's fascinating how these classics get woven into new music, keeps them alive.
Totally. And Sting gets credited as a writer on these new tracks, using his work. So the royalties keep flowing. Think Lucid Dreams, Red Light, On My Mind, Rise and Fall.
And it introduces his stuff to younger audiences, right? Might lead them back to the originals.
Exactly. Which boosts his catalog streams and sales, though. Now that benefit goes mainly to UMPG after the sale. It's a cycle.
Okay, samples. What about cover versions? Hearing someone else sing a Sting song.
Huge income source, too. Over 430 covers listed online. That's a lot of potential royalties.
How do covers generate money?
Well, the artist covering the song pays mechanical royalties for their recording sales, streams, and performance royalties whenever their version is played publicly. Sting, as the composer, gets paid for the use of his song.
Makes sense. Some really stand out, don't they? Eva Cassidy's Fields of Gold.
Just stunning. Became so huge after she passed.
Katie Malua did a nice version, too, for charity. And then there's the weird and wonderful Otto Walk.
Yes. The German comedian's version of Englishman in New York, called Friesenjung. Massive hit in Germany. Then it got a techno remix that went #1 in Germany and Austria.
You couldn't make it up. Shows how far a song can travel.
Totally unpredictable. And think of Johnny Cash doing I Hung My Head. So powerful.
Oh, yeah. Incredible version.
The variety is amazing. Rock bands like Machine Head covering Message in a Bottle, Dolly Parton doing Every Breath You Take, Julio Iglesias did Fragile with Sting, Pat O'Banton did Spirits in the Material World with Sting for the Ace Ventura soundtrack. Each cover finds its own audience, generates its own royalties.
So many versions, so many streams of income. Okay, lastly, sync licenses again. Using songs in films, TV, ads. We know Desert Rose and Jaguar.
Syncs are incredibly valuable. You get an upfront fee, often for both the song composition and the master recording.
Right, 2 different rights often needed.
And a good sync placement is amazing promotion. Can totally revitalize a song, drive streams, sales, introduce it to a whole new crowd.
Like Shape of My Heart and Leon, The Professional, and credits. So iconic.
Definitely helps cement that song's legacy. Still gets licensed a lot, I bet.
And we mentioned Fragile in that Netflix show recently. Even songs like Fields of Gold or Englishman in New York, they just feel right for certain scenes, you know? Must get used often.
Oh, for sure. Emotional resonance, character themes, and any song written for a soundtrack like My Funny Friend and Me has that built-in sync from the start.
So sync is direct fees plus promotion, breathes new life into older tracks.
Exactly. Big money, big exposure.
Okay, so we've seen all these ways Sting's work generates money. But behind the scenes, there's the business side. Copyright, publishing, that huge catalog sale.
Yeah, understanding music publishing is key. It's the business of managing those song copyrights. Publishers promote songs, license them, collect the royalties.
Right.
And for performance royalties, radio play, live gigs, etc., songwriters rely on performance rights organizations, PROs, like ASCAP and BMI in the U.S.
Stings with BMI, right? Since Every Breath You Take is their most performed song.
Exactly. That tells you the scale. These PROs issue licenses, collect fees, and distribute the money to writers and publishers. They have databases now, like Songview, trying to make ownership clearer.
And historically, Sting had his own publishing companies, like Magnetic Publishing, Stirpike Ltd. You see those names on the albums.
Yeah, entities like that managed his rights, collected the publisher's share. Stirpike is interesting, also linked to his trademarks, the wine he makes in Italy, his studio.
Huh. Multifaceted brand.
Those companies were vital for administering his copyrights.
Which brings us back, full circle, to that massive event, the sale to Universal Music Publishing Group in February 2022. $300 million.
Just an incredible figure. So what does a sale like that actually mean?
Well, first, it consolidates rights. UMG now largely controls both his publishing and his master recordings.
Okay.
For UMPG, they bought the future income stream. They get the publisher's share, probably the writer's share too, from all those songs moving forward.
And for Sting, he gets that huge lump sum now, cashing out the future potential of his back catalog. He won't get those regular royalty checks for those old songs anymore, but he got $300 million up front. Any new songs he writes would likely be under a separate new deal.
It's part of that trend, isn't it? Legacy artists selling their catalogs. Springsteen, Dylan?
Exactly. Securing the big payday, maybe for estate planning, maybe just simplifying things, and trusting the legacy to a major company with global reach. Sting said himself it was important his work found a home where it's valued and could keep connecting with people.
Makes sense.
And that $300 million number, it's just the clearest sign possible of the immense, enduring value of that songbook he built over decades. It's the ultimate validation of the financial power of great songwriting.
So, wrapping this up, it's really quite something to think about Sting's catalog as this incredible asset. Culturally, massive, obviously, but financially powerful, too.
Yeah, built through The Police, his amazing solo career, writing for others.
We've walked through all those royalty streams, mechanical, performance, sync, samples, covers, how they all connect and keep earning.
Absolutely. It's a complex ecosystem, but it all comes back to the song itself.
And those key examples really stick out. The Every Breath You Take, Sample Windfall, Shape of My Heart, becoming a sampler's favorite, Eva Cassidy's Fields of Gold, shows the lasting impact.
And that 2022 sale to UMPG really is the final huge exclamation point on the value accumulated through decades of consistently brilliant songwriting.
It truly is. So maybe for you, the listener, next time you hear one of your favorite songs, any song, think about its hidden life, that financial story humming beneath the surface.
Yeah, the whole business behind the music we love.
Maybe even check out the songwriting credits sometime. Who wrote it? Who licensed it? It's a whole fascinating world just waiting to be explored behind those tunes.